Welcome back to the question where you have the questions and I have the answers. And today we're going to talk about the Fourth Amendment, which makes unlawful search and seizure, unlawful. Basically, what it means is that any law enforcement cannot enter your home, search your person, detain you, or seize any of your property without a warrant granted by a judge. However, there are many exceptions to this rule. First and foremost, if you are a minor, all these laws that I am listing, these amendments and just laws in general, apply differently to minors because you are not seen as a full adult and therefore not a full, you don't have the same rights as a full citizen. Also, if you're on public property, which a school is public property unless it's a private university. I don't know how private institutions work, but I know at least for public schools and public institutions, like say if you're at a public mall, a public venue, which is a public school, they don't need a warrant to search your person, but they do need probable cause if it's reported. And another exception, which is gaining more notoriety, but it's still lesser known, is the border search exception. Basically, it means that if you are within 100 miles of an international border, and this means the United States-Canada border, United States-Mexico border, or if you're bordering one of the oceans, then law enforcement can legally search, seize, or detain you and your things overnight without a warrant and without probable cause. And I don't know how this works for Alaska, Hawaii. I can only talk about the lower 48 because that's where I live. I know there's a lot less land mass. I keep seeing my hands because I'm flicking at notifications. They distract me and bother me. So you're fine. They have a lot less land mass, so a lot more fits into that 100-mile radius. I don't know if the law still applies there. I don't know why it wouldn't. But I'm hoping there's a difference because that'd be really terrible if just you couldn't go anywhere without that protection of not being, unlawfully detained. And I just want to talk about the reason they have this is they can make sure that no one is trying to hop the border, either to get into America or to get out of America, to try and keep border safety. The only issue with this is that people who enforce the border search exception have been known to arrest people based on race, especially around the Mexican and Canadian border. There's been a higher arrest rate for people of Middle Eastern origin and people of Hispanic origin, or at least of Hispanic or Middle Eastern descent, because of racial profiling. And that has also led to many and numerous treks across long mountain ranges and deserts to try and get around main roads. They don't get arrested through the border search exception, and that's very dangerous. And so please just be as safe as possible and check to see if your city is within the 100-mile radius of the border search exception. I have not known any cases of them going into cities and enforcing it. It's usually on roads leading to or from an actual border. But because the law does say 100 miles of any international border and it specifies oceans as international borders, I would check just in case, just to be safe, so you know what people can and cannot do to you. Always know what your rights are, so you always know just what you can challenge in court and how these laws are going to affect you. Because I didn't know about this rule. Granted, I'm not in the demographic that's most likely to be searched and detained because of the racial profiling that goes around in America, especially in this type of law enforcement. But it's very interesting to know that my city is literally 5 miles outside of that 100-mile radius. If I joined into a neighboring city, I could possibly have that Fourth Amendment taken away. So just always be sure and always make sure you know the law, so you know what what exactly is going on. And that's why I'm doing this, so you know what each of the amendments are in the Constitution, what exactly it says, because people have been talking about whether to abolish, rewrite, or keep the Constitution, and most people have not read it and don't know exactly what it says or why it says what it says. Because the reason the Fourth Amendment was made was that, the British during the colonial times would go in and just arrest people or take their stuff just on a whim, because people violated the law, but they didn't know what they were violating, crimes that they supposedly committed, suspicion they supposedly had, but they had no idea what they had done or what contraband they could have had, or even if they had it. They wanted a way to protect themselves from soldiers unlawfully entering their home. So that's why you have to get a written permission. But as I said earlier, there's a lot of ways around this law that were added later. This was not the Founding Fathers' intention for this 100-mile border thing. But that's what we have now, and we have to work with that, and we have to acknowledge it and figure out what we can do about it. So that's all I have to say. I hope you learned something. Have an amazing week. So long, thanks for all the fish, and be excellent to each other, and party on, dudes.